Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where people truly believe they're owed anything and everything. And in today's episode, it's all about entitled psycho exes. And trust me, your heads will be spinning from the audacity of some people. I hope you enjoy the stories today. Don't shake your heads too hard. And as always, you can send or link your post to this email right here. Let's dive in. So, recently, I found out my girlfriend of 11 years was cheating on me with this unemployed dude of all people. Now, I'm not rich, but I provided her a good lifestyle. I paid most of her bills, provided a nice place, nails and hair done regularly, dates every weekend, vacations every year, you name it. She got used to that lifestyle and she wanted to keep living it despite cheating on me with a broke dude. And here's the thing, she didn't admit to cheating. I caught on to it. Once it was clear I was done with her, the entitlement really started to show. She said because I had family in the area and she didn't, that I should move out of our house, but continue paying the bills to give her and the new guy a chance to get on their feet. She also insisted on keeping my dogs and told me that I could only see my own dogs if I asked the new guy. But since they didn't have any money, I needed to continue paying for food and the vet bills. Instead, I kicked her out and I kept my dogs. At that point, she was angry, and the funniest thing is, she still feels entitled to my income. After I kicked her out of my place, she claimed she was forced to quit her job because I forced her to relocate. And then she tried to sue me for lost wages, which obviously didn't work out in her favor, as we are not married or anything, just dating. Now, you'd think she would stop at this point, but she didn't. She then contacted my work and she threatened to sue them, stating, "Your employees' actions cost me everything." And she even tried to insist they settle outside of court with her for $100,000. Instead, my work filed harassment charges against her. And seriously, you'd think she'd stop at that point, right? But she didn't. She then starts messaging every family member of mine that she could find. She told them that I cost her everything out of spite, just because she moved on with someone else, and the least they could do is try to convince me to send her money. She was practically begging my family to help her get a place and pay rent. When that didn't work, she went online and she begged for people to send money to her Cash App to help her with a place to live, and she claimed it was a domestic violence situation. I just don't understand how she doesn't understand that any financial support I gave her would end if she cheated on me. And again, we weren't even married. We don't have kids. I've just supported her for years. I owe her nothing, which seems to come as a shock to her. My goodness, the entitlement of some people, right? And honestly, in my opinion, OP dodged a bullet there when they caught her cheating. Like, that is just so wild to me. I cheated and we're broken up, but you gotta keep paying. Help me get my new relationship established. Yeah, I'm sorry, Karen, but that's not how things work. And who else laughed out loud at the fact that she called OP's work to try to get them to pay her $100,000? Like, are you freaking delusional? And this person shares a similar experience. My entitled ex-husband thought I owed him my entire income for the next 5 years. This was already years ago when we began our divorce proceedings. It was an abusive, controlling, very bad marriage. But I was in university when we met taking courses to get to my now career. I worked through most of my degree, so I was able to pay for myself and my tuition. The last year of my degree, it became overwhelming to work at the same time. So my ex told me that I should quit my job and he would support us, which I thought, okay, great. So I quit and I used my savings to help with my side of the bills. I did all the household chores and made sure I held up my end of things. I then graduate and get multiple job offers and start working right away. Our marriage fell apart 7 months after I started. He had multiple affairs, plus the abuse and everything else, so I left and went no contact. Our first time seeing each other was 15 months later at a mediation meeting with our respective lawyers. It only took him about 15 minutes to begin shouting and cursing at me, and then he demanded all my income. He said she would be nowhere without me. I gave her her career, and I only helped with the expectation that I would be reaping the benefits of her salary for the foreseeable future. Upon hearing that, basically both lawyers were dumbfounded, and his even scrambled to get him to stop talking. I still chuckle to myself when I think about that meeting. As terrifying as it was at the time, it's funny to think about now. Again, how some people think they're owed money is beyond me, guys. She's nothing without me, so make her pay me. Like the audacity of cheaters to even say such outlandish things, right? Okay. So this happened well over 2 decades ago. My mom left my dad and I, but she took the other kids, as in her words, life is too short to be poor. She moved in with this old rich man. She dragged the divorce out, thinking she would get a lot of money from my dad, because we lived on a 120-acre farm. But in reality, my dad's parents owned everything, except for a few head of cattle and an old combine. My mom was going after everything my dad owned, everything my grandparents owned, and everything my dad's siblings owned. I come from a very close-knit family, and my mom felt entitled to everything my entire family owned. Thankfully, we live in a rural area, and we know everyone. The judge in the case owned the land on the other side of the fence from my dad's deer blind, and he threw out a lot of the nonsense that my mom's city lawyer was trying to pull. One evening, my dad and I were having supper at the restaurant in town, and the bank president walks up to my dad and he says, "You're approved right here, right now, for a $20,000 loan to get rid of your wife. Payments made any way you want." My dad had the fork halfway to his mouth and his eyes were wide. He just said, "Thank you." So on Monday, he went to the bank and he signs the paperwork and he went to court with the settlement offer and was finally divorced after 15 months. My mom wasn't happy because her lawyer got most of it. My mom did marry the man she left us for. They were together until his death in 2001. She held her second husband's funeral on the 24th anniversary of her wedding with her first husband, and I call that karma. Her second husband also left her $1.2 million. The guy had her set up on a monthly allowance system that would have lasted her the rest of her life. But she got greedy and she cashed it all in, and she blew through all of that money in 8 months on dumb things. She's now back to being broke, and she's been trying to get back with my dad, so there's that. Well, ain't that something? I left you for a rich man because I'm sick of being poor. But now that he's dead and I blew through all of that money, can we get back together? Like, why does it not surprise me that she blew through all of that money her second husband left her on dumb things and went back to being broke? It just always pains me to hear when people have life-changing money in their hands, are irresponsible with it, and then go back to square one. And if that's not karma for you, I don't know what is. I just hope Dad told her to pound sand when she came crawling back. So buckle up, because this is a long one. Back in 2014, I was forced into ballet by my mother, and I hated it. I wasn't the ballerina type, so I fought with my mom. But in the end, I ended up giving up and went anyway. And this is how I met Devin. He was the most handsome guy I'd ever seen. He carried himself with grace, his smile was intoxicating, and everyone wanted a piece of Devin. But he only had eyes for me. It didn't take long before we started dating. Devin was 16 and I was 14, and I was in love with Devin. He was supposed to be my knight in shining armor. However, Devin was just a loser wrapped in tinfoil. About 5 months into our relationship, Devin and I went to a party. Halfway through the party, I lost Devin, so I went looking for him. I then found Devin with his tongue shoved down this girl's throat. So I just walked away. I was trying to walk home when this piece of crap rolls up, telling me to get in his car. I didn't want to, so I told Devin to go F himself. I would rather walk home in the dark than deal with him. Now, I don't remember how Devin convinced me to get in his car, but when I did, I just wanted to know why. Why did he cheat on me? And this son of a bitch had the nerve to try to gaslight me. He was saying stuff like, nothing like that happened. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. I saw nothing. It wasn't what was seen, and I was making things up. I, of course, didn't buy that because I know what I saw. And then, Devin cuts off the headlights of his car and he floors it down the dirt road with no streetlights, and he screamed how he was gonna end both of us that night. Devin then stopped the car, and he told me if I bring that girl up one more time, it won't end well for me. He then drove me home after that. Now, I should have left him, but I was so afraid of him. It didn't take long for the physical and emotional abuse to start. Dating Devin was like dating my psycho mom. He would scream at me for the littlest things, and he would cry and stomp his foot when I didn't do what he wanted me to. The guy was very manipulative. I tried breaking up with him numerous times, but every single time, the guy would threaten to end himself when I refused to talk to him. We dated for a year, and in that year, I experienced hell. I didn't tell people what was happening because I was afraid that no one would believe me. One day, I had tennis practice, but halfway through my practice, I start feeling sick. So I called my stepdad to pick me up to take me home. Before we pull into the driveway, there was Devin's car at my house. Now, this wasn't all surprising, as sometimes Devin would just be in the house waiting for me. And then we walk into the house, and that's when we heard it. My mom and Devin weren't quiet. My stepdad pulls out his phone to record, and then we went upstairs and walked in on Devin and my mom in bed together. Long story short, there was a lot of screaming, threats, and crying. My stepdad and I just went to the car, and we drove to a parking lot and just sat there while our phones were blowing up. My stepdad then sent the video of my mom and Devin to both of Devin's parents. My ex-in-laws then asked for a meeting. They exchanged information, and my stepdad told them he would see them in court. His parents tried to play it off like Devin was the victim here, and being manipulated by my mother. If you watch the video, Devin was trying to smack the phone out of my stepdad's hand. And when I started crying, asking him how he could do this to me, Devin started telling me to stop crying, because I wasn't good in bed anyways, so he needed someone better. My stepdad and I eventually went back to the house, and I went to my room while he went to pack his stuff to leave. My mom then came into my room crying and apologizing because Devin was still my boyfriend and she regrets it. When that didn't work, she then turns the tables on me. My mom starts making fun of me for crying, saying, "It's not my fault your boyfriend wanted me. Just stop crying and maybe put on some more makeup and present yourself better so you can keep a man." And after I left, y'all, Devin's way of apologizing to me was to call me and blame me, saying, "I'm so sorry you had to see that, but if you spent more time with me, I wouldn't have been seeking other women." And then Devin switches tactics, trying to convince me that I misunderstood the situation. And I thought to myself, how would I misunderstand it? I walked in on you naked in bed with my mom. How can that be misunderstood? Devin's parents end up giving my stepdad some money to keep it out of court, and then they moved away because of shame. My stepdad and my mom got divorced because, as it turns out, Devin wasn't the only person my mom was cheating with. And by the way, my mom never stopped seeing Devin. That bitch took him on elaborate trips. They went to Hawaii, Disneyland, and goddamn Texas. Devin and my mom were a match made in hell. But karma does prevail. Devin suffered a serious leg injury and he can't do ballet anymore. Him and my mom also stopped seeing each other and his parents abandoned him. The last time I checked, he works at an auto parts store and lives with his sister. And to top it all off, I heard my mom gave him gonorrhea. It's a shame, isn't it? As for me, I'm in love and I'm happily married to a dude who treats me like a queen, and I have 3 babies. I know what you're thinking, guys. What a roller coaster of a ride that was, right? And all I can say is FOP's narcissistic mom and that loser Devin. Like, what kind of person sleeps with her kid's boyfriend and then has the nerve to say, "Put on some makeup. If you looked better, he wouldn't have cheated on you"? But yeah, karma is a lovely thing, isn't it? All of that was for nothing in the end, and OP ends up living a great life. So my soft-hearted friend Emma finally broke up with the parasite she once called her boyfriend. This guy, who we'll call Kyle, has 100 excuses for why everyone else is the problem. He would complain that his bosses are mean and expect too much out of him, like showing up for his shifts. His coworkers create hostile work environments because they refuse to do his job for him. He also realized that the people he called friends are not really his friends, because they won't give him money when he needs it. Kyle thinks he has really bad luck. That said, at the beginning of this month, one of these friends told him that their living situation is not working out, that Kyle needs to find other accommodations by the month's end. He did nothing until this week. He had been praying that his friend was a real one who wouldn't really kick him out. However, today, his friend asked Kyle if he needed help packing. So in a panic, Kyle calls his ex Emma. He begged her to let him stay, all expenses paid by her, until he eventually gets back on his feet. He told Emma that people he thought were friends have shown who they really are, and they've abandoned him. They abandoned him in his hour of need. For what? Something as pithy as money. And here's the thing, all of his friends have hosted him at some point. He's not only paid no rent, but he expected all of them to pay his living expenses because they're friends. He would do the same for them. Emma usually has a hard time saying no, but since Kyle took advantage of her so badly, she said, "I don't think that's a good idea." She then blocked him everywhere and then called her scary sister to tell him off and threaten him to go away. And the funny thing is, he can always go back to his mom, but his mom's house doesn't count as somewhere to go, because his mom, in his words, is a self-absorbed bitch. He said a good parent would never expect her 37-year-old son to hold down a job and pay rent. A good parent doesn't make him do chores and maintain a level of order in the common areas. Dropping their sarcastic tone, I am so proud of Emma for not falling for this. I hope he gets his life in order now, but even if he doesn't, at least it's not my friend's problem. Okay, so when I read this post, guys, I thought Kyle was like 20 years old or something, but 37. Oh my goodness, you gotta get yourself together, sir. And with a mentality like that, he's not gonna have anyone left in his life very soon. And the most outrageous part of all of this is how he sees himself as the victim. Oh, my friends aren't friends because they won't let me leech off of them. My mom makes me do chores, and I'm 37 years old. Boo frickin' who. And seriously, how he landed a girlfriend in the first place is beyond me. My old friend group from college includes someone that I no longer speak to. Let's call her Abby. Anyways, out of the blue, I get a message from Abby. Turns out, she's trying to get back on her feet after leaving this one guy. She's currently staying with one of the mutual friends who lives in the city, but she sleeps on the couch there, as her friend only has a tiny one-bedroom place. Apparently, she saw some pictures that I put up on my Facebook because a mutual friend commented. I have a 2-bedroom apartment, and the second is my office/guest room. I just posted some pictures of my cat sitting in my work computer and on the bed in the room, and sort of all over, and I made the joke how it's actually her bedroom, not my office. Well, now Abby's demanding that I let her move in because there's nowhere else for her to go. And the thing is, there are places, but she doesn't like them. So she's demanding I let her in when I barely know her at this point. A lot can happen in 5 years. I just stared at the message for a bit before messaging the friend she's staying with. Abby's staying with this friend, and yeah, there's not a lot of space. Abby and this friend aren't getting along well either right now, and I felt bad because apparently she's gotten nowhere to go. But I'm still uncomfortable with the idea of going 6 hours away to pick her up and bring her here to live with me for who knows how long. And again, she has places to go. 2 other people from this old friend group offered to take Abby in, but she doesn't want to move in with the first because that friend has a toddler and a baby. That's too chaotic for her healing journey and whatever. Plus, that friend would ask her to help out with babysitting the kids while staying in the guest room. Abby says she needs to focus on herself, and she's also traumatized from her breakup. The second friend offered to take her in, but they live in a pretty small town in a fixer-upper house that she's slowly renovating with her husband. Abby kept saying that she can't handle living there because it's too remote for her to find a good job. And because the house is under construction, it's gonna be dirty. It also doesn't have everything she needs. She needs a TV, a dishwasher, a microwave, all that good stuff. I didn't feel bad after hearing that, so I told Abby no. And then she starts to guilt trip me about how women should support other women and believe in women. And I have a spare bedroom anyways. I just told her I don't really know her anymore, and that there were other people willing to help her. Anyways, she's trying to move in with a friend who has kids, but she wants to put some ground rules like there has to be quiet hours during the day. Good luck getting a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old to agree to that. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of r/malicious compliance. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/pro revenge episode, where psycho Karens are getting taught lessons they won't forget. Guys, go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.